What's your biggest problem?
I gotta buy 2 pairs of shoes every time I need new sneakers. If there was other Bigfoots, we'd probably come up with some kind of shoe exchange program. Probably be online these days. But I walk this earth alone, which is very lonely and very expensive.
Aren't your feet tough enough to go without shoes?
Yeah, but I got a sense of style, you know?
What's your biggest problem?
Climate change keeps forcing me north. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful up here, but the darkness gets to you. I got one of those UV lamps, but I'm not sure it does much. I've started drinking a bit too much, just to take the edge off.
What's your biggest problem?
For me, it's got to be these new monsters coming along and taking our jobs. I think some of them are created by management just to bust our union. I mean, what kind of monster name is Skinny Dude?
I think it's Slender Man.
That's what I said.
What's your biggest problem?
There's 2 things that really bother me, but the main one is definitely England.
What's the other one?
English people.
What's your biggest problem?
Turning into a wolf is pretty great. My main issue is the 29 days a month I have to spend as a human. I have to go to a job, in an office. It's beastly.
I just really want people to like me. But if they do, well, that kind of makes me a failure, professionally speaking.
What's it like being king?
I hate it. I don't even believe in a monarchy. We monsters need to cast off these titles. Godzilla is not a god, he's just needlessly large. Bigfoot's foot is only a few sizes above average. Then I am not a king. I'm called that because it's big in relative terms. But I do agree with his more general point.
King Kong said that. Well, I guess it's true. And we will need to cast off hierarchy and stand together. An extraplanetary threat draws closer.
Do you have any advice for young investors?
Yes. First, if you can sleep on it, don't sleep on it. Assets that make for good betting are rare and will always be in demand. Second, diversify. Gold makes a great mattress, but chests are bare pillows. Weaponry from fallen foes provides security, and gems really give the place a sense of ambiance. Third, it's not time in the market, it's time on the market. Don't worry about when you get your loot, worry about how long you can hold it for.
What worries you about the future?
I'm not sure I'll ever have enough saved for retirement. Plus, there's the growing darkness at the edge of things.
What worries you about the future?
The cost of living is insane. I'm earning more than I was 5 years ago, but living worse. Plus, the light is fading at the corners of reality.
What worries you about the future?
House prices are insane. I'm not sure my kids will ever be able to afford their own cave. Plus, there's an increasing dimness at the periphery. Something bad is coming.
Something really bad is coming.
It's here.
Will you stand with us?
Yes, solidarity is the king of virtues.
Will you stand with us?
I will do whatever is necessary to protect my investments.
Will you stand with us?
I mean, I am a human most of the time, and I tend to go with the flow. So yeah, probably, I guess.
Will you stand with us?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day. It could be tomorrow, though. They'll crumble immediately under pressure. So yes, we will stand with you. You'll need us. No riding, though.
So I have said this before, and I am more than happy to say it again, but business economics, the kind of economics that you're leaning very, very heavily on here, is basically just astrology for commerce bros. And while I get that astrology is fun and I enjoy reading my astrology chart just like the next person, I'm not suggesting that we decide to run a country that way because that would be fucking bananas. Another problem is, of course, that we've left our capitalist era. We have entered neo-feudalism, and so trying to apply those same economic theories and principles to what's happening to us today and now doesn't work. Now, inflation is an index of the rising cost of goods, and people always sort of say, you know, inflation's just telling us that things are costing more now. But the reason we use that as an indicator is because businesses would traditionally have been the most hesitant to raise their prices because they were competing for customers, and they wouldn't want to do anything that would scare their customers off to their competition. So if a business was going to rise their prices, it was because they didn't have another option. Either things were costing them too much now, there was a pressure on wages, there were other demands on them that meant that they had no other option but to increase their prices. That stops being an issue when you, the consumer, only have 2 options for soft drink: Coke and Pepsi. Then what am I going to do if there's only 2 of us making a product and my competition just raises prices? And it's quite easy to tell that this isn't like a genuine natural inflation, but rather a manufactured inflation for one very simple reason. All of these corporations are posting record profits. Now, of course, because traditionally an inflation period was preceded by an uptick in costs to businesses, this would have included things like an upward tick in wage costs, meaning they would have been paying more people or paying people more. But our wages are still way the fuck behind, so that didn't happen. But unfortunately, the RBA is treating it as though it did. It is treating this as though it was traditional inflation, and so it is doing what it does. It increases the interest rate in order to put a downward pressure on consumer spending, getting us to put more of that money into our expenses and less of it on frivolous things we don't need. But this wasn't traditional inflation, so that isn't what was happening. And because we didn't get this increase in wages, this is actually going to lead to stagnation.
I got to finish this last night because honestly the whole thing's fucking boring. So I find capitalist economic theory is boring and basic because they are boring and basic, and all we're trying to do is manipulate a tool that we created that isn't serving us very well. Now, the reason I hate economic theory so much is because I understand that it's all fake. I studied economics along with political science and criminology and legal theory. I understand that it's all fucking bullshit, and the fact that we're letting people live and die based on it fucks me the fuck. And like I said, these basic economic principles don't apply anymore. Basic principles of supply and demand don't even apply anymore. We now have artificial intelligences which monitor the market and tell businesses how much they can charge for something before consumers will stop buying it and choose something else instead. Because it's no longer about competing for customers, it's now about trying to make sure the customers give you all of their money. And we let housing fall into that same fucking system because we're fucking dumbasses. And yes, that makes me very, very mad.
So believe it or not, this used to be an anti-Semitism education account. Like a year and a half ago, I was making dozens of videos about how authors can avoid including anti-Semitic tropes in their writing. And so I'm speaking as an anti-Semitism educator when I say that the entity that is doing the most to drive anti-Semitism around the world and make my job impossible is the state of Israel. I was trying to educate people on harmful tropes against Jews, like the story of blood libel, which dates back to the 3rd century, where Christian church leaders started accusing Jews of kidnapping babies and drinking their blood, something that was used as justification for massacring Jews, stealing their property, exploiting them in all kinds of different ways. There's no credible evidence the Jews ever did this. This was never a part of Jewish rituals or anything like that. Let me be clear. However, today in the state of Israel, you have the largest massacre of children in modern history. 10,000 kids have been murdered by Israel over the last couple months. And at the same time as they're doing that and killing all these kids, and we've all seen the dead bodies and seen the mourning parents, Israel's over there saying, we're Jews. We speak for all Jews. We're all Israel and Judaism. That's the same. And if you don't like dead babies and you're criticizing us for killing all these babies, that makes you an anti-Semite. Well, from my perspective as an anti-Semitism educator, no, it is not the same thing. And Israel does not equal Jews. But Israel keeps saying that. They keep murdering children and saying, we equal Jews. Watch us murder all these kids. And don't say anything against this because we equal Jews. Do you see why that is so bad for spreading anti-Semitism? I tried to get authors to stop using tropes where Jews are money grubbing and greedy and control the banks and control money around the world. And it is very hard to do that when at the same time you have Israel saying, remember us, we're the Jews. We represent and speak for all Jews. And then they do shit like after the Nakba when they took all the Palestinians' land. And not only that, they took control of all the banks in Palestine and stole all the Palestinians' money. How can I argue against that when AIPAC is here spending billions of dollars buying out politicians so that they can't even say something like killing civilians is wrong? We shouldn't bomb children indiscriminately. The list of Israeli war crimes and atrocities is so long that as I've been reading more and more books about it over the last couple months, I keep forgetting things that they did that were so horrible throughout the last 75 years. And then relearning them and being oh shit, I can't even hold in my head the amount of terrible, terrible shit they've done over the last 75 years. And the whole time they're doing it, they're saying they're doing it in the name of all Jews. How the hell are we supposed to fight anti-Semitism when they're doing it like that? There is a really important difference between legitimately criticizing an evil, violent, imperialist state that is committing a genocide and buying into millennia-old lies that were told against Jews when they were in medieval and early modern Christian Europe leading up until the Holocaust that was used to justify the Jews' oppression and the genocide of them at those times. You see, those are very different things. And Israel wants to make them the same. And for every one anti-Zionist Jew like me who's saying, no, Israel does not speak for all Jews. We're not all the same. There's some number that's larger. I don't know what the number is, but it's easier to find Jews who have been completely indoctrinated since birth into Zionism, who will be happy to say, oh yeah, Israel speaks for us. They're doing this all in our name. That's all good. Don't you dare criticize them. And so anti-Semitism it's exploding globally. I'm people in my comments are reaching out to me genuinely in good faith, being like, hey, have you heard of this Protocol of the Elders of Zion thing? But I don't even want to take time to talk about it anymore, because when you weigh up the relative evils of like some authors including these anti-Semitic tropes in their fantasy story versus 10,000 kids getting murdered, it's like, which one am I going to prioritize talking about? Which one actually matters a whole lot more? And so yeah, hands down, the biggest driver of anti-Semitism in the world is Israel. And Jews will not be safe until their genocidal project, their colonial entity is dismantled and there is liberation and reparations for the people of Palestine and full equality for all people living in the land of occupied Palestine.
But is it trauma or am I a little baby bitch? It's trauma. Oh, is it that I'm a little baby bitch?
Sometimes to amuse myself, I like to imagine how the original readers of Pride and Prejudice reacted, because they wouldn't have seen the love confession coming. And her spirits were very differently affected when, to her amazement, she saw Mr. Darcy walk into the room. Fuck off. After a silence of several minutes, he came towards her in an agitated manner and thus began. Fuck off. In vain I have struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you, Arthur, how much I admire and love you. No. I have never desired your good opinion, and you have certainly bestowed it most unwillingly. From the first moment I may almost say of my acquaintance with you, your manners impressed upon me the fullest belief of your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain of the feelings of others. I had not known you a month before I felt that you were the last man in the world whom I could be prevailed on to marry. Oh my god!
Do y'all think food is a basic human right? Yeah, I feel like everybody should have access to food. Well, what about having food? No, that sounds like begging. Bitch, I feel like everybody should have access to it. I didn't say I feel like you should all have it. You gotta work for that shit. So what you're saying is humans created a fucking game called society. And in order for other humans that live around those people to deserve to stay the fuck alive, they have to overcome the boundaries of that game created by other people. Yeah, because that's just how the world works. No, it ain't. That's just how the fuck we made it. Let's make another one. The fuck? Well, if I fucking go around feeding people and helping people out for free, what the fuck I'm gonna get for it? See, bitch, that's the fucking problem. Why we can't just do shit because it need to get done? Why you gotta get something? Don't you think the fact that everybody thinks just like your fucking ass is the fucking problem? Rich people and poor motherfuckers think just like you, bitch. You must be a part of one of them isms. You know, we didn't used to have to worry about motherfuckers with power saying stupid shit like that. Because assassinations was just so fucking normal. You knew better. What happened to them?
So, Target is removing items from their Pride collection after experiencing violent threats impacting their team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work. The products in question are centered around trans existence. And look, I understand Target wanting to protect their employees, some of which are trans and queer themselves. But do you all realize what is happening? The fact that people in mass are threatening violence to scare these companies away from respecting and acknowledging the fact that trans people exist, and the fact that conservatives are pairing their attacks on trans rights with scapegoating, falsely calling us groomers and pedophiles. These are the same tactics that were used in Nazi Germany. If you don't see the attacks on trans lives as the early stages of attempted genocide, then you are not paying attention. This is eugenics at work. And if this sounds extreme, that is because it is. Trans people are in danger. And we need you to confront the people spearheading these attacks, not run away from them. And this is why I struggle so much with folks telling me to just ignore the haters. A hater is someone who belittles you or makes fun of your outfit or calls you ugly or stupid. I have hundreds and sometimes thousands of people sending me death threats and accusations of being a groomer and a pedophile just in mass online, matched with hundreds of bills and politicians stripping us of the care that keeps us alive while calling for the eradication of trans people. These are not just haters. These are terrorists. And these people who troll me on the internet say outright that they would kill me if they had the chance or the courage. And their heroes are the politicians spearheading the attacks on trans lives. And these politicians know that gender-affirming care saves lives. This fact is at the root of their efforts. Trans people do not have the privilege of just ignoring them because ignoring them would cost us our lives. We do not have the privilege that Target has to erase a piece of ourselves to prevent violence. Folks who are on the receiving end of these attacks see it so clearly. So trust us when we say, stop giving these people the benefit of the doubt. They are not just uneducated. They know the facts. They are not just conservative. They are hateful and harmful. They don't care about children. If they did, they would be fighting for gun control and keeping our planet habitable. They don't care about protecting cisgender women. If they did, they would not have overturned Roe v. Wade. They just care about power and supremacy. So we need to treat these people like the threat that they are. We need these companies and individuals to stand up for us and be on the right side of history. Because at this point, it is a matter of right and wrong. Trans people are in danger. Don't just sit back and let us die. It's time to do something. Please do something.
God for the cops. Who else is gonna show up and murder my neighbor's dog? Who else is gonna write a report when you get assaulted? Show up at the scene of the crime and take a couple pictures and then cruise to the line of the cops. Who wouldn't ever lie on the stand? If you can't do the time, you shouldn't have got that tan. We understand they're trained to be afraid of the sun, so they should never be allowed to shoot anyone who loves the cops. Stop, just stand, try to make it for a serve. Gotta be nice to people like you yourself. Staring down the barrel, why are you so nervous? I got them all, got this call down, call down, call down. I got them all, got this call down. Somebody come get her, she's dancing like a stripper. Somebody come get her, she's dancing like a stripper.
Can I tell you a story that I think really explains who I am as a person and as a comedian? So when I was 5 years old, my mom's brother died. She was devastated because they were really close. His widow, my aunt, we always stayed close with afterward. And I remember about 10 years after his death, she came over for lunch. And she was drinking a lot of soju, as all chaotic Korean women do at 1 p.m. And she told the story. She was like talking to my mom. She said, do you remember when your brother, my late husband, cheated on me? I was in the other room watching TV and I was like immediately like, and my mom was all hyping her up like, fuck that guy. Yeah, I remember. Fuck him. And then she was like telling the story. So basically right after they got married, he immediately started cheating on her with this woman. My aunt found out who she was, and then he would spend all night at her house. So my aunt went there one night, started screaming through the window, get the fuck out, I know you're in there. My uncle gets fucking scared, climbs to the top of the wardrobe. So in Korea, we have wardrobes that are really tall that almost reach the ceiling. And so he climbed in the little hole between the wardrobe and the ceiling. It kind of looks like the cabinet I have here, so if he was hiding up there basically. And then she bust in the house somehow and then was like screaming at him, but she couldn't get up, so she's like screaming at him for hours. So she's telling the story, and throughout the story she keeps saying, I'm gonna fucking kill him, I'm gonna fucking kill him. And then at one point she realizes that he is dead. He's been dead for 10 years, and she says like, oh wait, he's dead. And this evil Korean bitch, that I'm saying that with no shade because I identify as an evil Korean bitch. It's my people, it's the stock that I come from. This evil Korean bitch starts cackling, laughing, and then my mom, who's another evil Korean bitch, starts fucking sob crying. Kokumang mucus, you know? Both of them are like fucking knee slapping, you know? Knee slappy Korean, eating a corn out of a sweaty plastic bag at the bus station, Korean woman laughing. If you understand that reference, you understand that reference. And they're laughing so hard. Never seen my mom laugh that hard. Because her brother's dead. And he kind of deserves it. And then after they were laughing, they started crying really, really hard. I'm sorry I'm being emotional on TikTok. This is so fucking pathetic. Womb lands. Sorry, I always make inappropriate jokes when I get emotional. So then they start crying really, really hard because they both fucking miss him so much. And I remember thinking in that moment, like, this is what it means to live a fucking life and to fucking die. Like, nothing else fucking matters. Except for what? If I die 10 years later, the people that love me are gonna be really, really angry and also laugh at my memory because they love me. And that story affected me so hard, and it still does to this day. I'm so fucking proud to be from these people.
One of the reasons that Adam Smith loved the idea of the marketplace was because it was the place where classes had to confront one another, where you had to actually have more interpersonal interaction with the people with whom you shared a world. What we have ended up with now, though, more than ever, is a sort of system where the ruling class never really has to have that proximity. And even we as consumers, through Amazon, we can order shit without having to see the people we're buying it from. There are more and more ways that, like, we are becoming distanced from that interpersonal reality. And I guess I just wanted to ask you, as a child of the bourgeoisie, is that kind of one of the driving benefits, do you think, of becoming part of that class? You don't have to see the people whose dehumanization your position depends on.
So I was on Instagram earlier and I saw this quote. It's a quote by Albert Einstein. It says, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything," by Albert Einstein. And then I remembered a little known fact that Albert Einstein was actually offered the presidency of Israel in 1948. Yes, yeah, this one, Albert Einstein. E equals MC squared, that one. I remembered that he also rejected the presidency of Israel, but I never really knew why until I did my research. A quick Google search will tell you that he said he was too old, he said he wasn't really experienced enough, but if you dive a little bit deeper, so at the time, Israel was run by the Freedom Party led by Begin, which was a political party closely akin in its organization methods, political philosophy and social appeal to the Nazi and fascist parties. This is from a letter along with 28 other prominent members Einstein wrote to the New York Times. So Einstein and some other members of the Jewish community wrote this letter to the New York Times in 1948, explaining why he did not agree with Israel as a Jewish state. If you read a little bit further, it says Israel is an admixture of ultranationalism, religious mysticism, and racial superiority, and it bore the unmistakable stamp of a fascist party for whom terrorism and misrepresentation are means, and a leader state is the goal. The letter then ends by saying America should turn its back on Begin and not support this latest manifestation of fascism. But Einstein also stated that a Jewish state with borders and an army to protect those borders ran counter to the essential nature of Judaism, which Jewish people have been telling y'all that Zionism is anti-Semitic. He also said that we need to find a way to be honest and cooperative with the Arab people, and that he doesn't understand why we need to create a Jewish state. He goes on to say that Israel is connected with narrow-minded beliefs and economic obstacles. I believe it is bad. I should much rather see reasonable agreement with the Arabs on the basis of living together in peace than the creation of a Jewish state. Period. Free Palestine.
You're not imagining it. Things are getting worse. Things are getting stranger. You are being hurt. You're not imagining it. It's not just under your bed. And if you're stuck in the closet, that's not just in your head. You're not imagining it. The crazy shit on the news, the guy who reads like a joke, but the joke is on you. They say you're imagining it. They say everything's fake, but you're not insane to believe in other people's pain. Not sure what to say to make it okay, 'cause it's not okay. Too busy for conflict, too busy for change. When everything's fake, it's easy to say you're not imagining it. Things are getting worse. Things are getting stranger. You are being heard.
This is a guide for your dad who's nice but a little problematic. He does not know which accents he can jokingly do. You can do French, ménage à trois, the language of love. No one would bat an eye at that. That one's for fun. You can do Irish. That's me daughter Dolores took like a heart. She's 14 years old. She just needs a good husband. That one's fun. You can do German, but I would not recommend doing German, because when you do German, some people will assume you're a Nazi. That's not even a joke, that's just what'll happen. This is a guide for which accents white people can still jokingly do. You could honestly just do none, and no one would miss them. You can, this is a guide for that dude at your work who keeps trying to do Jamaican. Jamaican is an accent that white people just shouldn't do. Australian is chill. That's not a knife, this is a knife. You could do a crocodile Dundee thing. You could do shrimp on the barbie too, that's an easy one. You can do Swedish flurgebjörg or Russian borscht. Have anything for that one? Scottish is a-okay to do. Das haggis donkey. You can do Southern, but I would not recommend doing Southern, because when you do Southern, brother, and some people will assume you're a Nazi. I sang this song in Dallas recently, and they did not like that.